Thank you for joining us. This is RSJ LifeMatics, the mathematics of life. Last week, we talked about atheism and the fallacy of atheism. This week, we'll be discussing a very explosive topic. Why do men cheat and how married men can stay faithful and have a happy married life? So let's take a look at some figures right here, beginning with here in the United States. Statistics show almost 50% of all marriages in the United States will either end in divorce or separation. And statistics also show that infidelity is a contributing factor to divorce and separation. As a matter of fact, I have a great panelist in the studio to do justice to this topic. I'm gonna go ahead and introduce, because of time, I do want to let you know, the panelists, that we're trying to squeeze this in 30 minutes. Hopefully we can achieve that. So because of that, I'm gonna go ahead and introduce the panelists to do justice to this topic today. I'm gonna start with the lady first. They said ladies first, so I hope the guys are gonna forgive me. I'm gonna start with Dr. Ruth Ifediora. So Dr. Ruth is a senior nurse educator at the Parkland Health and Hospital System, Dallas, Texas. She's an American Psychiatric Nurses Association Suicide Prevention and Competency Facilitator. And Dr. Ruth is the founder and CEO of Comfort Foundation, doing great work. Is an organization dedicated to the public and professional education. Dr. Ruth, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate that. And next up, I have Carlos D. Carlos is a talk show giant. He's a great guy. And he actually is the anchor for, in FM 93.3, the Q Morning Show, the Carlos and Kiki in the morning. This show is one of the favorite breakfast show for most residents in the state of Albuquerque. As a matter of fact, the duo of Kiki Garcia was supposed to join us. Maybe she's going to join eventually, but she's not here at this moment. Carlos, I missed your very tight schedule. You joined us today. I do appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on and inviting me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And next up is Reverend Tonio Kolo. Reverend Tonio Kolo is a Catholic priest from Nigeria and works in Our Lady of the Lake Roman Catholic Church parish in Lake Havasu. And he holds a doctorate degree in theology and has great passion for education and guidance of the youth and family. Reverend Father Tony, thank you again for joining us. I know you have very tight schedule. You are doing a great work yourself, trying to educate the youth. Welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate that. All right. Again, I need to appreciate all of you. I miss your very tight schedule for coming today to join the show. So as a matter of fact, because of the time, again, I mentioned to you guys, I'm going to be giving each person the first 5 minutes for you to answer the question. I'm just going to start off with just someone I will name eventually. And once you start up, we have 5 minutes to talk about this. Of course, it's a very explosive topic. In some cases, like a taboo discussing this topic. But again, considering the ethical issues and the statistics we're looking at when we started off today, you will see that this is something we really have to start talking about. And for us to engage the people, hopefully at the end of this program, people who are going to watch the recorded version on YouTube will have something to learn on how to, stay faithful with their partners and eventually having a wonderful marriage life, which is what we all hope for when you are married. So having said that, I'm going to be giving 5 minutes. I'm going to start off with Father Tonio Kolo. I'm going to be asking you, what does it take to stay married? What are the deterrents to stop married men? Because remember, I need to let you know, guys, this is going to be a 2-part series. I forgot. I'm just going to say this ahead of time so that you'll be able to tick off your calendar against Same time next week, if that works for you guys, maybe you could talk after the show to be able to come up, because this is going to be a two-part series. Today, we are focusing on men. And that's why I have the other perspective, because people will be wondering, why are the only guys talking today? So that's why I had to bring Dr. Ruth to have a perspective from the female angle. I also wanted to have Kiki here as well, but unfortunately, maybe Kiki will join us. So it's going to be a two-part series. We're going to restrict the conversation today to the men folk. By next week, we're going to be talking about women. I hope you guys understand, and forgive me for kind of like stonewalling you in that regard, but hopefully we will be able to deal with the men folk today and continue to talk about women next week. Father Tony, you have the floor.
Anyway, thank you very much for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to share my own reflection on marriage, especially as it concerns men. Coming from my background as a Catholic priest, the first thing I wish to say is that if people or men understand what marriage is, I think it will help them to remain focused. As a Catholic priest, the first thing I have to say is that the Catholic Church teaches that marriage is a sacred institution. Marriage is sacred. Marriage is also a social institution, but it's more of a sacred. And what does it mean by being a sacred institution? It means that marriage is holy. It's something that you have to hold to high esteem. And if you consider it, if a man sees that, look, I am entering into this relationship that is holy, I think it will help the person not to, go around maybe shopping or looking around to see what, stays the other side. So that first thing I want to talk about, that, if men really understand that marriage is holy, the holiness of marriage, and it has to be kept holy, now that can help the person to, limit the excesses of what he does. The second one is also similar to the first one. The Catholic Church teaches also that marriage is a covenant. Marriage is a covenant. And what is a covenant? It's a covenant between the man and the woman. They have agreed that they should be together. And the way we put it in Catholic Church, we say that until death do us apart. So if you have gone, to extent to publicly proclaim that you are entering into a covenant with someone until life, or until death do you apart, then you should know that you are entering into something very serious. And to that, if you have it at the back of your mind, it will really help you to understand really that what you are going into is not a child's play. Another thing I want to talk about, coming from my background as a Catholic priest, is that I have always said it, when I'm wedding people. I tell them in the Catholic Church, the way we understand marriage is we have other sacraments like baptism, confirmation, ordination. But in marriage, this is the only sacrament whereby the priest is a witness. The priest is not the person celebrating the marriage. The people who are celebrating the marriage are the man and the woman. The priest is a witness. Why? Because they are the real people who are celebrating. So, and then I tell them that because you people are the celebrants, it all means that, the way I always explain it to them, I said, look, if you are marrying Joy today, know that it is Joy you are marrying. Don't think of Joy I will have married. Don't think of John I thought I will have married. You are marrying Joy. And if you are marrying Joy, Joy is your wife, or Joy is, or John is your husband. So when you have this at the back of your mind, and you have gone into knowing that this is a sacred institution, this is a covenant, and you are also the celebrant, it will help you a lot. Now, the final thing I wish to, talk about, especially with men, with my experience as a Catholic priest, is that at times, most men don't really understand what marriage is all about. They don't even know what they are going into. That's one thing. They don't even know. I remember a friend, doctor, I called him after about 1 month of marriage, in Nigeria. I said, how are you, doc? He said, my wife is cooking nice food for me. I balance at the dining table, I eat. So for him, that's the only thing he understands as marriage at that moment. He was just enjoying the services being given and forgetting the other aspects of marriage. So I think I will just leave it, at this moment so that I don't exceed the time. If I'm given opportunity, I'll still share more. So, but these are the few things I wish to talk, for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you really very much, Father Tony, for the insight. The interesting part is that you are saying that sometimes people don't know what they're getting into, particularly the men, because today we are talking about men, and they seem not to be in total realization of what they're getting into. So I'm going to turn now the microphone to Dr. Ruth. Do you agree that men don't know what they're getting into when they decide to say, I do, I do? Please share your thoughts.
So, looking at, from my perspective, I agree with that, because one of the things I put down on my paper is lack of orientation. Lack of orientation and lack of foundation is a big challenge and is a contributing factor to infidelity. And what the priest said is correct. If you come, I'm from Igbo land in Nigeria, and what you will hear is, it's time for you to marry. But this young man, you have never sat him down one day and said, this is how to marry. This is the step by step, what you're going to do. This is what marriage is. This is what is expected of you. This is your, this is the requirement. You have not even checked out, do they have the competency to get into marriage? So that is true. Lack of orientation is one big thing that I wish the community can be able to educate, to orient our young men to what the expectation is. Especially these days, there is technology, online, social media. People tend to go and Google stuff, right? So what is the elder ones teaching the young ones? Before you say, oh, you're not 39 years old. I was watching something yesterday. They called him out and said, oh, you are 39 years old. It's time for you to marry. Take your bag and get out of my house. It's time for you to marry. I think, I don't think you all can see me.
We see you a little bit, yes.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. I'm in my car, so.
Okay.
Right. So that is number one thing I put in. And I agree with the piece very well that men don't understand what they're getting into. Then some of them understood, they're coming in from the perspective that I am the boss, okay? I am going to bring in a servant who is coming to serve me. So that is another perspective based on what they see around, based on culture. And depending on which culture you're coming from, determines which trajectory you're going to go. So culture also have a lot of influence on why men do what? Cheat. Another issue in this culture of this, that do you know there are some cultures that infidelity is not an issue? Do you know that? There's some culture that accepts. There's some culture that accept infidelity as part of their normal process. So if you have a child that grew up in that environment, the orientation is that it's normal. Actually, I have had stories I've seen. I have one of my roommates some time ago. In their culture, when they come back on a Christmas or any holiday, the wife will sleep with the husband friend, and the husband friend's wife will sleep with the husband. That is their own culture. So orientation is very important. Exposure is very important. Another thing I put in there is lack of financial foundation. Whether we believe it or not, there is no way you can maintain a home if you don't have the money. And men with their ego, I'm sorry, I'm going to I'm going to kind of use that word, once you have the money, if they don't have the money, they're not able to manage the home. So what happens? They're likely to lean towards someone who has the money, even though they have a wife at home. They're likely to lean towards that person who's ready to provide. And when the person gives them that money, they will satisfy their need and then bring the money home to take care of the wife. Sometimes it is not intentional. Sometimes it's intentional. So lack of empowerment of the men getting into marriage is a very big challenge. So you need a man who is strong enough to financially provide, because the Bible says a man who cannot provide for his family is what is more than infidel. So how do you manage that? Those are some of the contributing factors that can lead a man cheating. So another thing is this. When you come from a family where your father cheats, okay, you're likely to do what? To carry on that process. Because even though you may not see, but they are watching, there are unspoken words, there are unspoken movements going on in the family, and they're watching it. And these children grow up believing that this is the normal process of life. And of course, the current trend has normalized that cheating is okay. If you don't want to go, it used to be said, and I quote, to death do us part. Do you know the new acronym?
No.
To downtown do us part. I don't know if I've heard that one before. So I will stop there.
All right. I like Dr. Ruth. I love that humorous angle right there. As a matter of fact, I have to say to my viewers and the panelists that Dr. Ruth was supposed to be a wedding event tonight, but because of her passion for, humanity, getting things done, and that's why she's actually joining us from her car. Dr. Ruth, I can't thank you enough. Don't run away yet. Don't run away yet. Okay, so Carlos, now it's up to you. Now, Carlos, again, I started off in my intro with the statistics. I did a little bit of research towards having this program, and one of the things like I mentioned to you in the beginning of the intro, I did say 50%. That's the statistics. I will post that also for other people to read up. It says the statistics shows that 50% of all marriages in the United States will either end in divorce or separation. That's the staggering figures. I mean, in terms of ethical issues. And now Dr. Ruth brought a different angle, which is the culture of infidelity. Now, can you balance these two? Look at the statistic. What is this correct? Is this correct? And that of the culture of infidelity. Can you balance these two, Carlos?
Yeah, I mean, I can only talk from personal experience. I mean, first of all, I want to say thank you guys. That was some great advice and some great perspective on both of those things. And I think just saying how important it is when you do get married and thinking about those choices that you're making. It's absolutely correct that you really have to think about what you're getting into and if you're ready for that. First, I think that when we're talking about relationships and we're getting into marriage, I think a lot of times what happens is we start going away from each other. We stop fighting for that relationship. We stop, putting the relationship first. We stop being, stop opening the doors and stop kissing each other and stop hugging each other. Just that small intimacy we lose along the way. And I think that could be a huge reason why men cheat, because they want to feel intimate just like women do. And sometimes that intimacy is just the little things that you do. So I think that we always have to put our relationship first and fight for that relationship. Like when we first met that person and we wanted them to be with us, and we did all those great things and, gave them gifts and show them how much we love them and appreciated it and tell them how much, they mean to us. And I think sometimes that dies off. What's your question again? I'm sorry. I hate to veer off there, but
no, that's okay. That's okay. So you actually impacted a little bit on the culture. Now, I wanted you to take a little bit of perspective, because Dr. Ruth spoke something that is a little bit from her culture about mentioned something about culture of infidelity. You know, so I wanted you to like balance it from the American perspective. Dr. Ruth spoke a little bit about from the Nigerian perspective, because this program is global. A lot of people are joining and they're listening to the program. So considering the statistics we looked at, which is very, very alarming, that 50% of marriages in America would either end in separation or divorce. What do you think is the contributing factor? What is the remedies we have, other than you mentioning the stuff about, you know, fighting for your marriage, being there, doing the best you can to keep it going? Are there other things that you think that is something that people are afraid to talk about, that is impacting, that is leading to the high level of divorce and separation in America?
Yeah, you know, I think it's communication. I think, you know, you need to communicate how you feel about something, if it's intimacy or whatever it is. But you know, I think that you hit it right on the dot, Dr. Ruth. Ego. I mean, no matter what country you live in, I hate to put it out there, but a lot of men have that ego of, yeah, I want my cake, and, you know, I want to eat it too, whatever the saying is, you know what I'm saying? And so I think a lot of it is ego. I think a lot of it is, you know, not being ready for marriage in the first place. You know, they went ahead and proposed, got married, and then all of a sudden it doesn't really end when you walk away from the church. You know, you have to keep on, like I said, keep on fighting for it every single day, 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road.
Absolutely, I do agree with you there, Carlos. Now let's take a different kind of perspective. Now, I'm going to go back again to Dr. Ruth real quick, and then I'll come to Father Tony Colo. Now, Dr. Ruth, if, for example, I know there's this tradition that when people are getting married, their mothers or their fathers come by and give them some kind of tips. If a guy walks up to you, look, I just got married, I want to make it work, just tell me 4 things that I can do to keep it going without having to start finding an alternative for my wife outside.
That's a very interesting question. Wow. Okay. First of all, I'm going to tell you one. You have to protect your wife. You are the protector of your wife. That's one. 2, you have to love your wife. You see, that love today, whatever that you see, I used to I listen to this the Catholic priest. He's I'm a big fan for him. That is a is it Reverend? They call them Oluoma.
Okay, Oluoma, yes. Oluoma is very good. Yes, yes.
I follow him all the time.
Yes.
No, he there's one thing he said, and I like it. He said that he don't say, I love this person, and that's why I'm marrying. No, you don't love that person. You don't even know them. So you actually marry the person even before you're going to love them, because your love is going to start after the honeymoon, not before the honeymoon. Because even before the honeymoon, you don't know this person. But it's after the honeymoon, the reality, the real person comes in. After I remove this makeup, are you still going to love me? So I will ask you to love your wife outside of the makeup. Some people will say outside of the packaging. When she removes all the packaging, are you still able to love her? That is number 2. Number 3, you have to provide for your wife. Regardless of whatever she brings to the house is irrelevant. Whatever she brings to the house does not make any meaning. You provide for your wife. And the number 4, the 4th one, in addition to praying to God every day, is what? Always cherish this person. If you want a woman who is half naked, dress your wife half naked. If you want a woman who has long hair, go buy the long hair. Let your wife wear it. If you want a woman in the club, take her to the club. But make sure that you cherish your wife, whatever that triggers that inside feeling inside of you at the beginning. Whatever you use to flourish it or you use to, garnish it, you send them a love letter, you text them every morning, or you wake up in the morning and say, I love you. Continue that. Because if that goes away, it's going to be hard for you to maintain that relationship. Relationship is important. Even God himself, he came for a relationship. That is when he came back in the Garden of Eden, he could not see that relationship again. He felt bitter and he felt bad because he wants relationship. There is no one size fits all. But the truth that there is no marriage that you have this love, protection, financial provision, and cherish that will fail with God's grace on the side. Okay? That is what I will tell that young man.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ruth. That's pretty amazing. Really, really amazing hearing all of that for you. I'm going to shift to Dr. Tony Okolo again. Same question.
Yes.
If you're asked to say 4 things, what are you going to say to that individual?
Mine is, I will make it my own, very simple because of time.
Remember, we are talking about guys. Women, their time is coming.
Yes.
By next week. So what are you going to tell to that guy? The
first thing I will tell the guy is this. Assure yourself my marriage will work, because some are not even sure. They are not very sure of themselves. Convince yourself that my marriage will work. In the same way, I'm saying that separation or divorce is not an option. If you have it at the back of your mind that separation or divorce is not an option, it will help you to work, as Dr. Ruth said. Because already you don't give an option of divorce, or if I get tired, I pull out. Now, it will help you now to put into practice what Dr. Ruth has said. The second one I will also say is selfishness. Remove selfishness, because selfishness is one of the greatest, threats to marriage. Selfishness, because men at times, most of the time, they are selfish, very selfish in a number of ways. They are very selfish. You understand what I'm saying? When people are selfish, you're only thinking of yourself. You only want to satisfy yourself. In everything, you just want your satisfaction. You don't care about the satisfaction of your wife. So, and when you do it 1, 2, 3 times, your wife will know that you are no longer being, interested in her. Then the third one I would tell the guy is communicate. Don't keep things in your heart. Communicate to your wife. Your wife wants to be, she wants to know what is happening in your life. And then the fourth one, just as Ruth said, is this. Apart from your wife, there's no other person that matters in your life. Your parents are there, they are important, but then your wife should be the supreme person you care for. Because when you love your wife and she knows that you love, her, there's no way, she will not give you, her best. And then I just want to add as a priest in the United States, working with people. You see this social media, you see this phone, it has destroyed a lot of marriages. Let me just put it that way. You see this phone, it has destroyed a lot of marriages. I will stop it at that.
Thank you very much. The phone thing, I think we're all casualties. We're all casualties with the phone stuff. And that's going to be a story for another day. I've been researching about how can we find a nexus between what the phone has done to us and try to make our families work. That would be something we need to talk about another day, the phone thing. Okay, so Carlos, if you would, in 2-3 minutes, can you tell me, can you share your thoughts? 4 things you tell a dude. I know you are married. Great dude.
Yeah.
Tell me 4 things you tell a guy that will come back and say, thank you, Carlos, after 10 years.
No doubt. Well, that was great advice, I think. Definitely communicate. I 100% agree with that. I think another one would be treat your wife how you would want your daughters to be treated, with respect, and, you know, and be a role model for your kids and your family, because, you know, I think 100% they look at us, and we treat our wife with respect, just like we would like our sons to treat their wives with respect, and our daughters with respect. And I also add, you know, be intimate. Just, it can be little things like giving her a hug and kissing her, asking her questions, learning her love language. You know, a lot of people show love in different ways. And I think that when you find out how your significant other shows their love, you can appreciate that.
Thank you, Carlos. That's pretty much amazing. We have barely 3 minutes to go now. Let me just use this opportunity to thank all of you, particularly Dr. Ruth. I can't thank you enough. I can assure you, your project, I am #1 on your project because of the passion you have. As a matter of fact, you have inspired me a whole lot. You don't know that part. You have inspired me a whole lot, and I will continue to support your project as well. And thank you again for staying and honoring my invitation. Hopefully, we will do this sometime this week. I want you to assure me that can happen next week. Can you assure me?
We'll try.
We will try our best.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. That's quite comforting, you know. And Father Tony, again, I miss your time schedule. You do have a passion for educating people, especially the youths within your parish, that I'm aware of. I've had moments to visit you in Lake Havasu, and it was awesome. And I'm considering another visit. Great work you're doing, and we also continue to support your project. And thank you again for coming to this program. And I know you will be here next Sunday for us to talk about women. Maybe we will dig a lot more from the women. All right. And Carlos, you have very tight schedule. I know you're warming up for Halloween, but you had to make sure we get this done today. And hopefully we're going to do this again by next week when we talk about women. That's like a sore point, if you ask me, but again, we will deal with it. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. I do appreciate you guys. And in a moment, I'm going to stop the recording, and then appreciate you guys for coming.
Before you stop the recording, I just want to say one quick thing.
Please.
One thing that our men need to do is also check their mental health. Our mental health matters. Some of the causes of infidelity is because of mental health issues that are not treated. So that is one thing. As an advocate for mental health, men don't like to speak up. Men don't like to say stuff, but they can check out. You don't have to be sick to see a therapist. You don't have to be sick for you to see a counselor. Just speak up, and maybe they can help you to manage your relationship. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's for that concluding piece. You've done it. You've done every bit of it. Again, thank you guys for coming to RSJ LifeMatics, the mathematics of life. Next week, for my viewers, we will be discussing why do women cheat. We dealt with why men cheat today. By next week, we're going to be dealing with why women cheat and how they can actually be better than the men folk, than us, the men folk. And that will be for next week. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and we'll see you again next week.
Thank you.
Now, as usual, life is so short. Make the very best out of it. Ciao.
Ciao.